Hi, welcome to the round 16 preview as our Blues take on the Hawks Sunday afternoon at the Melbourne Cricket Ground at the MCG, the hallowed turf, 1:10 p.m. We've had a bye, we've had a break. It feels good, I've got to say. It feels so good to have no stress on a weekend. Obviously, also coming off a win, then a bye, and then we're back at it. I think, I speculate when I say everyone involved in the team and the club has just had their chance to get a bit of a mental refresh. And I don't know what's going to be said this week. I don't really care what's going to be said this week. What I really care about is what type of attitude and what type of ownership and what type of accountability are we going to see with their actions starting on Sunday as we enter, the final stretch of the season. It's pretty clear when you review everything that's happened, disappointing, not good enough, and not to the expectation that the fans have, and not to the expectation that I think the club has of itself. So we have made that really clear. I think everyone involved has made it really clear. I don't think there's been any sugarcoating this time around. We just haven't performed so far. But there are 9 games left. So that's the situation. And whether or not, I know that we love to cling on to a conclusion before the actual season has played out. Whether or not we play finals is, for me right now, it's irrelevant because it's still so far away, the end of the season. Where I'm looking at is who is going to be a part of the future. Who is actually going to be a part of the future of this group, and who is actually going to start taking ownership of their performances, particularly the guys who are out of contract, but then also the guys who are in contract and the guys who have already had the commitment made to them by the club because they need to. They need to for their own careers. So I'm really intrigued by what's about to happen because it's all zeroing in now. It's all getting real serious now. And so, dare I say it, can we expect there to be a bit more urgency, a little bit more aggressiveness with the way that we attack? We seem to maybe unlock it for a quarter against the Suns last time out at the MCG, but I'm not just relying on that to happen for the rest of the year. I would love to, but I think it would be fairly misguided to suggest that just because we saw it against the Suns that was the turning point. The turning point will be labelled as such, I think, when they do it for the rest of the season. Then we can say, okay, they had a bit of a bad patch to start the season, and then they sort of figured it out and pulled their fingers out. So, yeah. Either way, it's exciting because you're just one step closer to knowing who's going to be there for the future and who's not. The Hawks, I did a really interesting exercise. I went back and looked at all the previews and the reviews that I've done for the Hawks, and I think I might start implementing this moving forward. But just to see the ones that I've covered and the ones that we've covered, it's never been comfortable with the Hawks. Never. None of them have been. There's always been some sort of a tussle with the Hawks. We've never been able to comfortably get over the line without there being somewhat of a scare. And look, it was no different last time out, round 3, 2022. We started off super hot. I think it was an 8-goal quarter. And then we needed some heroics at the end via Fisher and Jack Silvani and then Jacob Wiedering as well to get us over the line. It's a typical Carlton way to get it done. There's always got to be a twist and a turn. Listen, they're at a phase in their development, the Hawks, where they've clearly just looked at that next era for them. I actually really respect the way they go about it. I respect the way they speak, particularly Sam Mitchell. I think he's a fucking genius. And I think the way that they're going, even when they lose, like they still seem to have this clear direction. And this is from an outsider looking in. I don't watch them too closely, but I watch most games. And there's always something impressive about the Hawks, even when they lose. So I don't know what it's like if there are any Hawthorn supporters watching this, but I'd be curious to know where they sit, knowing that they're in this rebuilding phase of their development. But that doesn't mean that they can't win a game. That's the beauty of them. They've got this ability to surprise teams. And, if we come out the way we have come out in the past against these teams where the external will say you should be beating them, where there's the expectation, that is something that has given us a bit of grief over the course of our lives, let's be honest. So I'm curious. Now, going into this, I just think, I don't know, am I allowed to think that we should have too much for them? Is that okay? You know, the expectation is just, it's the taboo phrase right now. It's the taboo word. Like, you're not allowed to have expectation on them because it just gets a little bit too hard. So I go there this Sunday, excited to go to the footy, expecting to win. There'd be anarchy if we lost this week. And that's pressure. And I believe rather than taking the pressure off them, it's how do we equip them with the ability to handle the pressure and handle the expectation, knowing that it's there and still being able to execute. I expect there to be a refreshed team. I know that the record doesn't look very good right now for teams coming off the bye this season. I believe every team has lost coming off the bye. But I also believe no team went into the bye under as much duress and pressure and noise as what Carlton had. I really do believe that. We went into the bye sort of limping to it, even though we won the game before it. So, yeah, when it comes to changes, I'm not too sure. The one thing we know is that Cottrell won't play due to his suspension for the DDT. So, is this the opportunity for Jackson Binns? Is this the opportunity for Paddy Dow to get that full game? I don't know. We're going to find out the final teams on Friday. Does George Hewitt come into the side? There's a bit of a conversation around, maybe we've found our midfield mix. Maybe we accidentally found the mix last time out against the Gold Coast Suns. So I'm still pretty curious about that, but I don't really know. That's the truth. I'll just wait until the teams come out and then react accordingly. But you know, there's a reminder in the bye in that, you know, footy's not there sometimes, and when it's not there, you're not watching your team, as frustrating and as disappointing as they can be at times. You love it. We love it. I really do. It's the heartbeat of Melbourne, the footy for me. So, yeah, excited to see whatever the next 9 games holds. Going this Sunday, I like the time slot, nice early one. And I expect us to put in a good performance, and I expect us to finish the season strongly, irrespective of what the outcome will be at the end. I expect to see much better performances across the board from the entire group. So, yeah, that's where I sit. What about you? Where are you sitting with this week? I'm curious. If you're in Melbourne, are you going to go? Because I know last week or 2 weeks ago, we didn't have a great crowd. And I'm curious to see what the number of the crowd will be this week. So are you going this week, or have you resigned to the fact that that's it? Until they show me something, I'll stop going to games. Because I'm not quite sure if the Gold Coast game was a statement, an anomaly, or if it's going to be a trend for the rest of the season. So let me know what you think about that. Let me know what you think about the game this week. Talk to me about the changes in the comments below, and we'll go from there. Let's do it. Go Blues.